Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. So I think Xbox fans entering the week are probably pretty happy, as not only do you have Halo Infinite releasing in a couple days, which sounds absolutely fantastic. Yes, Xbox is killing it this generation, which we will talk about here in just a bit. But also, we have the Game Awards this week, and according to some different leaks and rumors, a couple of big Xbox games will be revealed at the Game Awards. So we are going to be talking about the Game Awards as well today, and all of the rumors and leaks surrounding that, which goes well beyond just Xbox games, so definitely stay tuned for all of that. To start things off today, though, we are actually going to be talking about the Game Awards Player Choice Awards. So I think it's pretty safe to say that the Game Awards has a tendency of being a little bit controversial when it comes to the nominations that they make. It seems like every year there's a few notable absences that the community are just not thrilled about, and well, that's what the Players' Voice Awards are for. This is where fans themselves can vote on what their favorite games was of the year, and well, voting is taking place right now. Currently, I believe we're in round 2, but if you take a look over here, you can see what games are being voted for by the fans. Take-Two sits at the top with 14% of the votes, Forza Horizon 5 at number 2 with 13%, Halo Infinite, which as of right now doesn't even have the full game out, that sits at 12%, Metroid Dread at 11%, and then Psychonauts 2 in 5th place with 10%. Now, I find the early results here to be interesting because I actually think this is a little bit of a bad look for the Game Awards. And the reason I say that is because 2 of the top 3 most voted for games here didn't even make the Game of the Year nominations, being Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite. Now, the reason Halo Infinite wasn't nominated this year is because it didn't meet the deadline for the Game of the Year awards, which is sometime in November, which to me has always never really made sense because these games that release in December, they're just completely ignored, and it has to make me wonder, why don't they just push the Game Awards until like January so we can cover the entire year, because this is the Game of the Year awards. It's one of those really strange situations, but whatever. Then we also have Forza Horizon 5, and this is the one that has really led to a lot of controversial this year. This one actually did meet the deadline, but it almost seems like because this is quote-unquote just a racing game, the Game of the Year awards just kind of ignored it. And really, this is the best rated game to release in 2021. It's a lot of fun. A lot of people consider it the best racing game of all time. It's been extremely popular. I believe like 12 million people has already played it. And yeah, it was unfortunately ignored. So seeing so many people vote for these games in the Player Voice Awards is really interesting to see, and just kind of shows you how many people are enjoying these games. Keep in mind, though, if you want to vote as well, make sure to visit the link in the description below. Next up, let's talk about a game studio that has really built a good reputation over the last generation with games like Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy and Crash Bandicoot 4. This being, of course, Toys for Bob. They have done an absolutely fantastic job with the Crash Bandicoot franchise, and that's why so many fans have been frustrated this year, as it appears that they have kind of transitioned over to a Call of Duty support studio. Yeah, I guess over at Activision, that's how they reward making good games. We're going to push you into being a support studio. Really, Activision's leadership by this point is just incomprehensible and frustrating, to say the least, for multiple reasons. But the good news here is that it does sound like Toys for Bob is not just going to be a dedicated support studio. It does seem like they have something else going on here, as it's been spotted over at the Video Game Chronicles that they are hiring for a project that sounds unrelated to Call of Duty. Now, as to what this game is remains to be seen, though if I were to guess, it's probably that game that they've been teasing for a little while now that apparently is some kind of esports multiplayer style of game. The name Wumpa League keeps getting thrown around, so it does sound like it's related to the Crash Bandicoot franchise in some shape or form, but as to what this game is still remains to be seen. Interestingly enough, though, 2021 does mark Crash Bandicoot's 25th anniversary, though, and they have been teasing this game for a little while, so I do have to wonder if maybe we get a reveal here sometime soon, maybe even over at the Game Awards. Yeah, the Game Awards continues to sound really good, but of course that is just speculation on my part. Either way, though, it's just good to hear that Toys for Bob more than likely is working on their own project as well, rather than just being used as a support studio for Call of Duty Warzone. Let's go and talk about Xbox, though, as they absolutely are killing it this generation with the Xbox Series X. And really, they've been doing this for like the last 15 or 16 months, but with all these acquisitions that they've acquired over the last 5 or so years, it is starting to look like that is paying off. Now, I think for fans that were patient and kind of understood that game development takes a long time, this isn't really all that surprising. But if you look over the last 16 or so months, debatably, Microsoft might be the best publisher in the entire industry. And that's not even a joke. We'll kind of get into that here in just a second. But Halo Infinite reviews are starting to roll out now, and yes, Halo absolutely looks to be back. I think with the multiplayer, a lot of fans have been really happy with that because it feels excellent to play. Yes, it's got some problems with its progression system, but in terms of gameplay, Halo Infinite is outstanding, to say the least. It automatically has become one of the best competitive first-person shooters on the market, but there was still this question looming: what about the single-player campaign? That is the component that there was a lot of controversy surrounding last year with, of course, that infamous Craig demo. Thankfully, though, Xbox made the tough decision to delay Halo Infinite for an entire year, and it seems like that they made the correct decision here, with not only its multiplayer being received well, but now its single-player campaign seems to equally be getting a lot of praise on top of that. Reviews have started to roll out, and currently, as of this recording, it sits at an 86 overall score on Metacritic. Based off what I've been hearing, critics are saying that this is a game that returns to Halo's roots, especially with Halo 1 Combat Evolved. But it seems like not only did they recapture the magic from Halo 1, but they expanded upon it. So yeah, it does seem like Halo Infinite with that open world formula fits very well, and I'm also hearing, for the most part, the story is actually quite interesting as well, as it continues to humanize Master Chief, and also does sound like the side characters are pretty interesting as well. So there you have it. It seems like Halo fans are in for a real treat here with Halo Infinite, and I think fans are going to be both relieved and excited that Halo Infinite is back. Interestingly enough, though, with Halo Infinite being received so well, I think it just kind of shows you that Xbox is making the correct decisions this generation. You know, last generation, there was this narrative that Xbox couldn't really make good games. You know, they didn't have a lot of first-party studios last generation with the Xbox One, but they are quickly changing that narrative this generation with their studios producing some high-quality games over the last 16 or so months. As I said before, Xbox Game Studios and Bethesda are absolutely on fire right now. If you take a look at some of the games that they have released here recently, you have Wasteland 3, which is a great RPG sitting in an 85 overall score on Metacritic. Gears Tactics, that has an 80 overall score. Flight Simulator, a 91. Psychonauts 2, which is a legitimate Game of the Year candidate, and who knows, it might actually win. We'll see about that, but it does have an 87 overall score. Forza Horizon 5, the highest rated game for 2021, sitting at a 92. You have Age of Empires 4, an 81 overall score. Then you have Deathloop, which is an interesting one because it is a timed PlayStation 5 exclusive, but it is a Bethesda game, and it sits at an 88 overall score. And now you have Halo Infinite, debatably Xbox's most important franchise, and it has an 86 overall score. So yeah, you're starting to notice a trend here that Xbox has some pretty highly talented studios that can make some really good games, and I would expect that to continue throughout this generation. Either way, though, big congrats to Xbox and 343 Industries for their early success with Halo Infinite. Personally, cannot wait to play this game when it releases in just a couple of days now. Moving on, though, let's go and talk about the Game Awards and some of the rumors, news, and speculation surrounding this particular event. Like I said before, it is sounding like an event that you're absolutely going to want to tune in for this year, especially if you want some big game announcements, because there's already some rumors going around that some major reveals will take place here on December 9th. Now, the first of which is actually coming directly from Jeff Keighley. Over in an interview with For the Win, Jeff Keighley was asked about having more games being as impactful as Elden Ring's reveal earlier this year at the Summer Game Fest. And check out Jeff Keighley's response. Oh God, there are probably 4 or 5 things of that level. I can't wait to show people this stuff. Summer Game Fest was a new thing that I had created. The fact that From Software bet on me and Summer Game Fest, where they could have done more traditional E3 stuff, that meant a lot to me. It was a huge honor to work with From Guys, so stay tuned, there may be more coming. So there you have it. According to Jeff Keighley himself, you should expect at least 3 to 4 major reveals here of the same level as Elden Ring. So if that is true, that would make this an absolutely huge event. With all of that in mind, though, Jeff Keighley does usually hype up these events, as that's going to increase viewership, so that is something to take into consideration. But at the same time, I mean, we're starting to hear some rumors and leaks around this event that does paint this event as being quite big for game announcements. And actually, let's go and take a look at some of the rumors that's surrounding this event. The first of which is coming from Jeff Grubb, which has built quite a reputation for himself, leaking a lot of different games over the last couple years. And according to him, 2 big Xbox games might be at this event, being Hellblade 2 and Avowed. Both of these are highly anticipated games, and even though we know they exist, we've yet to see gameplay just yet. So yeah, I think with both of these being a possibility to be at the Game Awards, Xbox fans for certain are going to want to tune in for this event. Now, with that said, Jeff Grubb doesn't seem 100% certain or anything like that, though at the same time, I do expect Xbox to make at least one big announcement here. They usually do make a big announcement at the Game Awards, and for that matter, I would expect PlayStation and Nintendo to come in with some major reveals on their own as well. The Game Awards is just far too big by this point to simply ignore. I've talked about this for the last couple months, but there's a reason, in my opinion, that both Xbox and PlayStation has had some events, yet they haven't really had that big reveal, and that's because I believe they are likely saving them for the Game Awards, where this event has a massive viewership. It just makes sense, so do expect some big reveals from all of the big 3 here. Now, another rumor that's been floating around here recently, though I don't know if this one is as credible, is that Prey 2 could possibly be revealed here at the Game Awards. Prey is a very high-quality game being developed by Arcane, though this one will be interesting because if this is true, again, this is another Xbox game, so if they do somehow reveal Hellblade 2, Avowed, and Prey 2 at the Game Awards, yeah, that would be a big event for Xbox, though we'll kind of see about all that. I believe at least one of these games does have a good chance of being here, though I don't know about all 3 per se. I would go into that one a little bit cautiously. Another game, though, that has been carrying quite a bit of heat, though, would be Chrono Cross Remastered. This is a game that we have talked about on the channel multiple times in the last few months, as several leaks are surrounding this particular title. It does sound like this one might be legitimate, and interestingly enough, a crossover was just announced between Chrono Cross and Another Eden. So with the timing of that and these rumors about a Chrono Cross Remaster being announced here in December, yeah, you have to wonder if this game will be announced at the Game Awards. For any Chrono Cross fan out there, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope this one does turn out to be true. Disregarding rumors, though, we should absolutely expect some kind of Matrix Unreal Engine 5 reveal here. Epic Games is now teasing The Matrix Awakens, which is an interactive tie-in to The Matrix Resurrection. Now, this doesn't sound like it's going to be a full game or anything like that, but it's apparently some kind of demo that's going to showcase Unreal Engine 5. That is interesting, though, as I know a lot of fans are really curious about the power of Unreal Engine 5, and plus The Matrix, this is a pretty big franchise, so that's definitely something you might want to pay attention to when it releases on December 9th. Either way, though, it is starting to sound like the Game Awards is going to be a big event as expected, and you're absolutely going to want to tune in for it later this week on December 9th. Let's go and talk about the poll of the day, though. Last week, we did talk about that PlayStation quote-unquote Xbox Game Pass competitor, which reportedly will release sometime in spring of 2022. Supposedly, what's happening is that they're going to be combining PlayStation Plus with PlayStation Now, and it will allow you to play several legacy titles from the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and even the PSP. But I wanted to ask you all, if PlayStation decides to make an Xbox Game Pass competitor that includes legacy titles but doesn't include day one first-party games, do you think that would be enough? And, well, if you take a look here, no, you all do not think that's enough, with 80% of you saying no, while only 13% of you said yes. And truthfully, I do tend to agree with you all here. If you all noticed from last week, I did seem a little skeptical about this quote-unquote Xbox Game Pass competitor, and the reason for that is because right now the way it's being described, It just sounds like they're combining PlayStation Plus with PlayStation Now, which doesn't really fix the problems that I have with PlayStation Now. I've always said this, but PlayStation Now's biggest problem is that Sony doesn't necessarily seem fully committed to a service like this. I mean, yes, PlayStation Now has a large library of games, but quantity isn't necessarily going to do it for a service like this. One of the most enticing selling points for Xbox Game Pass is their big first-party games releases into the service day one. Because of that, you know that there's something consistently worth looking forward to when you subscribe to Xbox Game Pass. As for PlayStation Now, you don't have that consistency, and as of yet, they haven't really put their big first-party games into PlayStation Now. Now, I can understand them not wanting to do that day one like Xbox Game Pass does, but I think a nice alternative would be maybe to release these games into PlayStation Now maybe 6 months or a year down the road. But will they actually do something like that? That kind of remains to be seen. They haven't really given us any sign that they will, and even this report that's going around doesn't say anything about that. It basically just says that they're combining PlayStation Plus with PlayStation Now and that it will have legacy games. So really looking beyond the headline of that specific report that's going around, it kind of sounds more like a rebrand to me than necessarily a flat-out Xbox Game Pass competitor. Again, this is just how it's being described currently, so unless there's something that we're not hearing about just yet, I'm going to have to kind of wait and see about this said Xbox Game Pass competitor. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.